Welcome, everybody, to Narrative Live's coverage tonight of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We'll bring you the live feed for a portion of tonight's event. We won't stay for the whole thing because I don't think we're going to stomach it, but for the important parts, we'll be here. As you can see, the crowd of media journalists, megawatt celebrities, and the entire Trump cabinet are present. You see Pete Hegseth there in the picture, schmoozing it up with a lot of other Washington insiders. It's an interesting crowd always to take a look from a zoomed out point of view, because it is ultimately a very institutionalized place. You'll see a lot of seasoned white faces that you've seen many times. Now, of course, this is the second time they're doing the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The first time was April 25th. That's when a gunman named Cole Thomas Allen forced his way through a security checkpoint outside what was then the venue, the Washington Hilton, and he fired a shotgun, shot a Secret Service officer, and the dinner was over before the main course. Now, that whole event is still under investigation, and we still don't know what the president knew and when he knew it. We don't know whether the Secret Service was completely aware of the intentions of Cole Thomas Allen, but we know that is still a investigation. Now, in no way are we saying that the intention was created by Donald Trump, but there are people who suspect that maybe it was an event that was allowed to happen because they had some knowledge beforehand, or so some people claim. Nevertheless, that's not what we're here to do today. We're not here to talk about the interruption of the first White House Correspondents' Dinner, although it did work for an instant there to give Donald Trump a reason to celebrate his upcoming ballroom with all its security. That ballroom is now being retitled a military installation in order to get it through the billion-dollar funding that it needs to get from the House. Wolf Blitzer there, I think he was talking to the guy who runs Stratus. There's Robert Kennedy Jr. On the ropes these days for his handling of measles and also the malaria bacteria, which seems to have been spread through, we're not quite sure where, but maybe Taco Bell. Just to explain to you what happens at these events, and I'll zoom in for you while we discuss these, every table has a sort of bigwig at it. And in other words, they have like a member of the cabinet and a major celebrity from the news media. And they also try to bring in another celebrity, like a film star. And the way it works is if you're at one of these tables and you're a cabinet minister or an insider, you get to ask the host of the table if you could go and meet somebody else at another table, and you have to be the one introducing them to. On the year I was there, I got to meet Tom Cruise for that reason, which was a very nice event for, to remember that day by. Not as tall as you imagine, Tom Cruise. Now, let's take a look at this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner. There's no comedian. There is a mentalist, and maybe that's exactly what we need in this time. Lots of controversy around this entire event, but let me get out of the way and let you hear and see the events and the White House Correspondents' Dinner live. It's taking place today at the Waldorf Astoria, what formerly was the Trump Hotel in D.C.
From Fox News, Jackie Heinrich. Going President, Weijia Zhang of CBS News.
I'm not sure what happened to the audio there. That is my feed? Maybe. Let's see.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
This was a hastily arranged event, and it's not got the full version of the White House Correspondents' Dinner and the traditional fanfare around it. They've reduced it really to his comments and this mentalist. President taking his position while All Hail the Chief is played.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Joint Armed Forces Color Guard from the Military District of Washington, D.C., and the singing of our national anthem by Master Gunnery Sergeant Kevin Banier.
This event is happening, of course, in the background of an incredible amount of media consolidation. And you see Rita Chang there, the president of the White House Correspondents Association, next to Donald Trump, next to the guy singing the anthem. That is an interesting thing that she's the outgoing president now of the committee, but she has steered this committee through an enormous, confusing time. And many people say the great aplomb. But on the other hand, the CBS News has become one of those institutions that is now run really by the Trump Oracle merger that is now taking over both CBS News and potentially CNN if their purchase of Warner happens. And the rocket's red glare, we're choosing to take this as a news event, so we're not going to give you the full coverage of what is the pomp and ceremony around it. So no disrespect to the anthem. It's just one of those things that we want to look at this as a news event, because I don't think that many journalists should be at this White House Correspondents' Dinner. The very association with this presidency and his illegitimate rule is confounding to me, that the media plays such an important role in supporting him, in legitimizing many of the moves that he makes, in applauding what has become a decline into authoritarianism, or at least if not applauding, not covering the authoritarianism slide that we found ourselves in the United States, which is affecting, of course, the entire world. America is a very different place today than it was even a year ago. And that is because of this president and because of his regime. And these correspondents all play a role in legitimizing that by even being here tonight. And I noticed some Substack folks were there too. I don't get that. I don't get how people who are in this new platform celebrating the, a new kind of journalism for the people, are present in this institutionalized, rewarding the presidency with their attendance, standing up for him. It's beyond the pale in many ways.
Please welcome CBS News White House correspondent, president of the White House Correspondents Association, Weijia Zhang.
Good evening, everybody. Let's try this again. Because one thing about this press corps is we always have a follow-up. Welcome to the 2026 White House Correspondents' Dinner, a tradition spanning more than a century and one we are especially proud to continue tonight. President Trump, thank you. Thank you for being here again. Thank you for all your support as we reschedule this dinner. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt and your team, thank you too. Cabinet members, members of Congress, distinguished guests, welcome. And of course, WHCA members, thank you. Many of you were also with us in April. You came as guests, but within moments, you went to work. Please sit. You shifted into reporters, taking notes, capturing video, streaming live, even as uncertainty and anxiety filled the room. Law enforcement ran toward danger. Administration officials met backstage to gather facts. And Mr. President, you went straight to the podium in the White House briefing room to answer questions from journalists, all of us still in our gowns and tuxedos. That night will go down in history, and so will our response. During that news conference, President Trump said the ballroom was totally unified and that it was a very beautiful thing to see. 3 months later, it still is. Whatever may divide us, we stand together against political violence. An assassination attempt on our president is an attack on democracy itself. Tonight, our message is this: we are back. We will not be intimidated. We refuse to let an act
I
of
can't even
violence
watch this,
have
to be
the
honest.
final word.
Wee Chang, bowing, kissing the ring of Donald Trump in a way that you are, is actually unbelievable.
It all. But first, enjoy dinner and be good to your servers. We'll see you soon.
It is difficult to watch how the media toes the line of this administration. It is remarkable to hear her say those words about the President of the United States. There are many questions about what happened that night. None of them have been raised by the media here. And it just tells you how far we've come from the tradition of American journalism. As this appears to be dinner time, I have run out of things to say. I'm going to land up just putting up the picture for you here and wait for the president to do his after dinner remarks. Hopefully we'll be encountered not too many offensive comments about how, the entire ballroom was unified. Did she say last time? I mean, it's unbelievable that anyone thinks that ballroom has ever been unified. The most competitive, cutthroat group of people ever, but also under this particular rule, this regime, they are as ununified as you could possibly imagine, but still not doing the job that they're expected to do. And it's just an awful look here to see these people dining, whining, drinking so much wine, living the high life, while we know that the person at the helm of this regime is stealing at a rate of, according to our grift clock, $107 dollars a second from the American people, that he's now stolen $5.1 billion. Just check it out at griftclock.com, our new website that counts exactly how much money the Trump family is busy getting away with. And all of this is happening while there's an illegitimate war happening in Iran, and the American people can't afford gas or groceries because of the price of gas now at over $4 a gallon. It is quite a scene to see the institutions that are the media circus of America backing this regime by attending this event. Anyhow, that's enough of my rant here. I will allow the pictures to take center stage now, and we'll hopefully hear the president within the hour. See what he has to say. It might even be funny. He is funny in many ways, but it's not funny in the way that you'd expect a president to be. Not we're laughing at him as the world laughs at him, not laughing with him. But we'll see if he can live up to past presidents and their sometimes very hilarious comments. All right, here's the full picture. We'll be back in a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the podium from CBS News, the president of the White House Correspondents Association, Weijia Zhang.
Welcome back to the 2026 White House Correspondents' Dinner. I hope everyone enjoyed their meal. Since Calvin Coolidge became the first president to attend this event in 1924, nearly every sitting president has joined us at some point in their term. The tradition is rooted in a simple principle that a president and the press corps that covers him can share a meal and even a joke. This dinner has never lacked for opinions. I know everyone has a lot of feelings about it, even under normal circumstances, and people ask, should it still exist? But every year, we pack the room. In fact, we just did it twice. Whatever brought you here tonight, this evening is dedicated to the First Amendment and the excellent work of our colleagues and scholars. President Trump, you are joining us tonight for the second time in 3 months, and we don't take that lightly. Thank you. Thank you again to Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt and the White House press team. Thanks to the relentless WHCA board members, our executive director, Steve Soma, and our general counsel, Simon Lakovich, for your hard work and friendship. I have to say thank you again to my CBS News family for enduring a second round of dinner planning. And of course, my family, I love you so much. Our entertainer, mentalist, Oz Perlman, is also back with us. Thank you, Oz. For the record, he did guess Caroline's baby's name right last time, and we can't wait to see what you reveal. But you can skip the part where you guess the president's phone number because half the reporters in this room already have it. Finally, on behalf of the White House Correspondents Association, I also want to thank supporters from around the world, across the political spectrum, who sent well wishes after a shooting interrupted our event in April. Many of you are joining us on live stream, and C-SPAN is the crew as it was that night. Photographers and technicians were under the stairs where the shooter was, but they never stopped rolling their cameras and transmitting live footage despite the circumstances. Thank you. That night tested all of us, but it revealed something worth fighting for. While journalists in the ballroom were gathering facts and getting them to the public, I got a rare glimpse of something few of us ever see in real time. In a holding room, President Trump was huddled with members of his cabinet, asking questions, finding the best way to share the answers with everyone, which is our job description too. I keep coming back to that split screen, not because it was dramatic, but because it quietly proved no matter how complicated or tense the relationship is between the press and the presidency, what we share is far more important than anything else. And that is our duty to serve the American people. As our country continues to celebrate 250 years of its extraordinary story, this gathering is further proof that the American press endures with it.
Whose cross stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
The White House Correspondents' Dinner was to be a night celebrating the First Amendment and 250 years of surviving, thriving, and overcoming our nation's many unthinkable challenges.
Welcome to the 2026 White House Correspondents' Dinner.
But that celebration was stopped by a single gunman in an apparent attempt to assassinate the president.
I heard the loud bangs that were going off. It was extremely frightening. I was only a few feet away.
We were all told to just get under the tables. And at first, some of the White House officials did too.
A whole rush of people started to come up towards the front door.
On a night when we are thinking about the freedoms in the First Amendment, we must also think about how fragile they are.
And that was very unexpected.
The president and the White House press corps proved resilient.
This was an event dedicated to freedom of speech that was supposed to bring together members of both parties with members of the press. And in a certain way, it did.
So we are together again tonight, proving our resolve and unyielding fortitude. And to celebrate America at 2:50.
Hello from 1789. I'm James Madison. Yes, that James Madison. I wrote the First Amendment. At the time, we worried a king might control the press. Turns out you're now worried about tweets, algorithms, and people yelling on television. Let me clarify the rule. The government doesn't get to shut the press up, not when it's wrong, not when it's annoying, and not when it's asking uncomfortable questions.
The First Amendment and the freedom of the press, it is the foundation of our democracy.
The freedom that we have to speak our mind, to share our views, share what we know.
It's just so remarkable that we're able to question our world leaders, question the most powerful man in the world because of the First Amendment.
As we mark the 250th anniversary of our birth, I'm hopeful that people throughout the country will come together to discuss the importance of this history and to appreciate even more what our ancestors did to secure our liberty and freedoms, including freedom of the press.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Well, I see we're trying a new experiment this morning. I hope it doesn't prove to be a disturbing influence.
Our goal is to try to rock the boat, and we're supported by the First Amendment. I hope Ike would be proud of us.
Is the president taking control of Iran's oil?
We have a very vigorous group of people representing all different points of view, including a lot of the foreign press.
Daqui a pouco, o presidente Donald Trump.
I just told him I've got to come over and see the fake news. Let's go.
The presidents throughout history have complained about how they're treated in the press.
We don't stop the publication of any papers. We don't fine anyone for something they say.
And that's okay. That's part of the process.
Why are you so confident he'll change his behavior, Mr. President?
Yeah, I'm not confident. What the hell? What do you do over there? So when did I say I was confident?
I don't want to be back at the White House today. It's a young person's game. And I have great admiration for the reporters who are there because they have a tougher job than I ever had.
That's enough. Put down the mic.
I must say, today, folks, the reporters at the White House, my hat's off to you.
Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled. Whenever we face pushback from a politician or even from a president, it's not about us as a journalist. It's about the person we're covering.
Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either, so
I understand.
To be honest.
So let me ask you a question if I can. Our job is to just keep asking tough questions.
Our founders were often distraught about the press, the highly partisan media of their time. Yet Jefferson famously championed a free press, noting that he preferred newspapers without a government to a government without newspapers.
That's right. I favored a free press while my predecessor here, John Adams, signed a sedition act that could imprison journalists for saying anything malicious against the government. I ended that unconstitutional law when I took office, and thankfully, it's never returned. Can't blame a guy for trying.
So which is it? Are you winding this down or are you escalating
I can't tell you.
Whenever there's a crisis, that's the time that people tune in.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dan Rather with CBS News.
The effects of Watergate were beginning to corner President Richard Nixon. If the president thought you were going to ask a question he didn't want to ask, he would try to throw you off balance right at the beginning.
Are you running for something? No, sir, Mr. President, are you?
Mr. President, in talking about the continuing recession tonight, you have blamed mistakes of the past, and you blamed the Congress. Does any of the blame belong to you?
Yes, because for many years I was a Democrat.
Why did you really want to go to war?
When we push them to answer questions on the record, they have an opportunity to explain their reasoning, explain their thinking, explain their goals.
Can you tell the country, sir, why you are content with all the fanfare around this deal to leave the conscience of this nation and the strength of this nation unaccounted for in relation to these 4 Americans?
The notion that I'm content, Major, that's nonsense. And you should know better.
Hello, everybody. Have a good trip.
Well, you can't fall asleep on Air Force One because you never know when the president's going to come back and take questions.
It's going to be a very long trip, right?
Dan Compton, who's been with the president all day, is on the phone from Nebraska.
On 9/11, I was part of that small travel pool that the White House agreed to take on what was a 10-hour odyssey.
The president might be a target as well, and that is why he has come to as secure a place as he could.
The White House made sure that we had phone connections and that we had access to the president. It worked exactly the way it should.
So I dialed President Trump's number, and he picked up, just like anybody else.
I just got off the phone with President Trump. It was a roughly 9-minute phone interview.
I've covered 5 different presidents. I have never seen one other than Donald Trump who regularly takes phone calls from reporters.
New media is massively important to our country.
Here's what you missed if you weren't tuned in.
We utilize social media to help people understand what we're talking about, breaking it down in digestible ways so that they can understand even the more nuanced news that's going on here at the White House.
And today we went through the Rose Garden into the Oval Office.
Every single outlet that's at the White House is shaping the national news. All of these outlets have a place here, and all of our audiences deserve to know what's going on in our country and in this White House.
I don't think it's unusual for a president to be criticized. That seems to be one of the things that go with the job.
As we look back over history, almost without exception, the better presidents at the end of their term have actually thanked the press in the spirit of, you had your job to do, I had my job to do, and that's the way the country goes together.
Truth be told, in the greater scheme of things, you are, I hesitate to say this, more essential to that common pursuit than I am. And that's why freedom of the press is and must always be above politics.
My friends say, what is it like to deal with the press corps? So these are just people that are trying to do the best they possibly can.
You're not supposed to be sycophants. You're supposed to be skeptics. You're supposed to ask me tough questions and make sure that we are accountable to the people who sent us here. And you have done that.
I wonder whether the founding fathers might look with delight at the kind of vibrant conversations that Americans today are having in the national media, in social media. It's a very vibrant conversation that has its roots 250 years ago.
The noise you experience today, though at times overwhelming, is not necessarily a sign of decay. It may in part be the sound of liberty, exercising itself somewhat chaotically, to be sure. The true danger lies not in a press that is too free, but in one that forgets why it was made free at all. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and thanks for helping us reach 250 years of American democracy. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, founders. What a powerful reminder. By the way, that was AI, in case you missed it. What a powerful reminder that generation after generation, White House correspondents have the privilege of writing the first draft of history. Serving as president of our association has been one of the great honors of my life. And as my final act, I was determined to carry out one more event to highlight the strength of our press corps. I am honored to preside over this dinner, but I do have a fact check because technically my last day in office was last week. Our next chapter is in amazing hands with one of the fiercest women I have ever known. She is my wonderful friend, my partner in 2026-2027 WHCA President Jackie Heinrich, who I've asked to help present 2 very special awards. Jackie.
Thank you, Richa, and good evening, everyone. Before anything else, I want to recognize Richa Jang for her leadership, her unwavering commitment to this press corps. Richa, you have really represented this association with such professionalism. There we go. There we go. And she has represented this association with such professionalism, integrity, grit, and I am so deeply grateful, not just for your example, but also more so for your friendship. And to our members, I am humbled that you've put your trust in me to lead the White House Correspondents Association for the next year. And I look forward to working alongside all of you as we continue our shared mission. Pursuing the facts without fear or favor, and exercising the freedoms protected by the First Amendment in service of the American people. The attempt on President Trump's life last April was a sobering reminder that democracy is not immune to violence, and the freedoms that we cherish can never be taken for granted. Political violence must have no home in America. And journalism can serve us well to broaden understanding, to shed light, and to inform our decisions, especially in this age of fast-moving information that can reinforce our divisions. And we are grateful to have President Trump here tonight, taking part in this tradition that recognizes the essential role of a free press in our democracy. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you. The events of that night also revealed the resilience of this press corps, the all-American sense of resolve that no act of intimidation will silence us, and the endurance of the First Amendment. And we're gathered here tonight because we believe that a free press always finds a way forward. And it is in that spirit that the WHCA Service Award was established to recognize exceptional service to this association, and it is fitting that one of the 2 awards that we are giving tonight goes to the staff of the Washington Hilton. They are hospitality professionals who always put service first. As harrowing events unfolded that night, their courage was on full display. The kitchen workers, the ballroom wait staff remained at their posts. When President Trump urged that the evening should continue, they prepared to serve more than 2,600 guests while they were still processing the shock alongside all of us. And when the Secret Service made the necessary call to postpone the remainder of the program, they immediately pivoted, preserving every unserved meal and donating them to local shelters. And many of these dedicated professionals have worked dozens of White House Correspondents' dinners since this event first moved to the Washington Hilton in 1968. And 58 years later, we are deeply grateful for their partnership. We are proud of the history that we've built together, and we are excited to return to the Washington Hilton next year, stronger than ever. Please welcome the Washington Hilton's General Manager, Ken Jarka, and Catering Manager, Karen Fiketis, to accept the WHCA President's Award for Exceptional Service on behalf of the entire Washington Hilton team.
Congratulations, and thank you, Jackie. I also want to thank the staff and security team right here at the Waldorf Astoria for putting so much time and care into helping us plan this event in a very short notice. That evening in April did not unfold as planned, but it ended exactly like it was supposed to. 2,600 guests, plus hundreds of others who were working that night, got to go home unharmed. And that was made possible by the brave men and women of law enforcement and the United States Secret Service. On behalf of every person who was inside that ballroom and every family who got to hear their loved ones say, "Don't worry, I'm okay," we thank you. One officer placed himself directly in harm's way and engaged the armed suspect. Even after gunfire struck his protective vest, he stayed in the fight and the attacker was stopped. I know many of us have wondered, what if he hadn't acted in that exact way? What if he had waited a few more seconds? His courage that night reflects the core values of the Secret Service: duty, justice, courage, honesty, and loyalty, and as a commitment to safeguarding his country and community. They also shaped his career, first as an infantryman and section leader in the United States Marine Corps, and since 2022 as an officer of the Secret Service, protecting the White House complex and our nation's leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present the WHCA President's Award for Exceptional Service to Officer Victor Gonzalez of the United States Secret Service. Thank you again, Officer Gonzalez, and to all the law enforcement officials who work around the clock to keep us safe. Democracy is defended in many ways, sometimes with a badge, sometimes with a notebook and a deadline. The White House Correspondents Association started as a group of 50 reporters, and I am proud that our membership hit a record number in 2025, more than 1,000 people, including many from new media outlets. Our press corps covers the presidency at all hours of the day in their personal lives. They miss out on a lot so that the world doesn't have to. If you're a past WHCA president here tonight, please stand. Former board members, please stand. Our chief White House correspondents, please stand. All current White House correspondents, reporters, producers, photographers, visual and audio journalists, please stand. And tonight, I also want to salute our colleagues in the Pentagon Press Corps. Your work is invaluable, especially as our nation is at war. Please stand. And now we turn our attention to future White House correspondents, our incredible scholarship award winners. Please welcome our Scholarship Committee Chair, who also serves as the WHCA Secretary, Brian Bennett of MS Now.
Hello, everybody. It means so much to be back together tonight. This is the part of the dinner each year that I look forward to the most. We have an incredible group of young journalists with us who are the recipients of this year's White House Correspondents Association scholarships. Since 1991, the WHCA has awarded scholarships to hundreds of journalism students. This year, we are helping fund the education of 30. Let me pull out my remarks here. 30 students from 16 colleges and universities. They are from schools all over the country: Arizona, California, Illinois, Iowa, Maryland, Missouri, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Puerto Rico, Tennessee, Virginia, Washington, D.C. We have important partners who extend the reach of our giving, and you all are a part of that. The WHCA and our partners went to great lengths to make sure as many of our scholars as possible could be here tonight with us. And I'm happy to say that 26 out of the 30 of them were able to return for the second dinner. Some came back to DC from far away. Many were already here in Washington for the summer for journalism internships. When the April dinner was interrupted by the shooting, a lot of the scholars did what journalists do in dangerous situations. They started reporting, and they reported for their college newspapers. They are already showing their commitment to the work that we are all here to celebrate. Our dinner is the primary fundraiser for our association and our scholarships. And because of that generosity, we were able to increase the amount of several scholarships this year. Thank you for being a part of this and supporting this work. And we also want to say thanks to the America 250 Commission for your generous donation to our scholarship fund. The scholars not only receive financial help to pay for school. Earlier this year, they had a tour of the White House, and they met with White House officials. They spent an afternoon with dozens of senior journalists who cover the White House, and they were paired with mentors, working journalists from the White House Correspondents Association, who make a year-long commitment to offer advice and encouragement. We all had people along the way who helped make us better. And the WHCA Scholarship Program is a way that our association gives back and helps strengthen a new generation of journalists. Because of the commitment and your support, past WHCA scholarship recipients are now doing amazing things in journalism. We tracked some of them down to tell us about their work today.
Being a White House Correspondents Association scholar opened up a new world for me.
Being a scholar meant that I could have the financial freedom to do what I wanted.
Being a WHCA scholar gave me access to so many mentors and a world of opportunities here in Washington, D.C.
It gave me the chance to connect with other journalists, other members of the association.
Journalism is important, and especially here at the White House, where every day, every hour, every minute even matters. The decisions that are made here impact people across the country and around the world.
The idea that you get to be a part of the first draft of history, it all is extremely inspiring and drives me as a journalist.
There are so many pinch me moments covering the White House, watching world leaders arrive here, walking into the press briefing room, getting to see Marine One land on the South Lawn, and getting to ask the President of the United States a question directly. Being selected as a White House Correspondents Association scholar has played a huge role in my career.
I was there as President Biden gave a toast to the freedom of the press, and also as Kim Kardashian strutted across the runway and posed for pictures among a room full of talented journalists.
The stars, the outfits, the photographs. And I remember too, that was the year that Brittany Griner had just returned home. And so being able to see her was really emotional.
I was also inspired looking around at all the different scholars and how excited they were. And I think their excitement influenced my excitement about it.
And it really was an eye-opening experience about just how important this role is. This White House press corps is not a mythical world.
it exists, and it is something that I can aspire to be a part of.
And I owe a lot of credit to the WHCA for getting me here. So many journalists involved in this organization were willing to chat with me, to invest in me. And it's a cycle because of what they were able to pass on. I hope that I can play a role in doing that for the next generation as well.
I can tell you, this year's scholarship recipients are also really impressive. And they're all sitting right over there. Let's meet them. Please stand as I read your name. From American University, Louisa Clausen. From Arizona State University, George Headley, Elisa Horton, and Kyle Sikinski. From Hampton University, Kristen Fluellen and Jade Abubakar. From Howard University, Tatiana Allen and Madison Maynard and Sanyu Lakoma. From Iowa State University, Eric Anderson. From Northwestern University, Jacques Aburizik, Caitlin Bender-Thomas, Samantha Freeman. From Iowa University, Nyla Gilbert, Aidan Ryan, Emily Stokes. From Princeton University, Ina Marcia. From Sagrado Corazon University in Puerto Rico, Iana Sotovalle. From Syracuse University, Ben Bassick. From the University of California, Berkeley, Hae-Yoon Cho. From the University of Kansas, Julia Hansen. From the University of Maryland, Laura Charleston, Lillian Gray, Dana Matthews, Ashley Nehra. From the University of Missouri, Callie Fowler, Tyler Kirwan, Fletcher Mantooth. And from the University of Tennessee, Abigail Fanning. Congratulations, scholars. Please be seated. There's one more scholarship that requires special attention. This year, we've added a new scholarship at New York University that has been named in honor of the legendary CBS News White House correspondent, Mark Knoller. As you all know, Mark passed away in August. And if you needed to know how many times the president had been to Camp David, or went on vacation, or played golf, Mark Knoller always had the facts. And he was always willing to share. To remember Mark and to commemorate the new WHCA scholarship at his alma mater, NYU, here is a tribute put together by his friend and CBS News chief correspondent, Major Garrett.
I'm Mark Knoller, CBS News, and you could say that I'm kind of the CBS News numbers man at the White House.
You could say that, but that's less than half the story.
Can you justify your role?
Mark did keep a log of presidential actions, everything from speeches and press conferences to vacations and foreign trips.
By my count, President Obama had 65 domestic trips in 2010, spanning 104 days.
Knoller's numbers were so precise, White House aides used them to backfill or correct their own records. Historians and journalists came to rely on Knoller's database, which he never hoarded, always shared.
Mark.
Knoller.
Mark Knoller.
Knoller considered that database the heartbeat of the presidency. To understand and cover a president, you had to know and remember all of a president's actions.
President Obama does like to play golf. Since taking office, he has played golf 57 times.
I'll be glad to answer a couple of questions. Mark Knoller, are you with us?
You bet.
Those who watched Knoller work were left in awe. Every White House reporter logs long hours. None logged as many as Knoller.
I'm one of those lucky people that gets to work at something he loves doing. And so I really don't feel as though I'm sacrificing anything, spending long days here.
Prolific and accurate reporting mark Knoller's hallmarks, which serve the presidency and the nation well.
We are honored to be able to add a new scholarship in Mark's name in partnership with NYU's Arthur L. Clarke Journalism Institute. And even more happy to announce that the first recipient of the Mark Knoller Scholarship is Avril Silva. Please stand, Avril. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's WHCA Scholarship students. When you see them tonight, offer them advice and offer them jobs. Many of them are already doing amazing journalism. They're all superstars. Thank you very much.
Please welcome the chief correspondent for ABC News, the co-anchor of ABC's This Week, and a former president of the White House Correspondents Association, Jonathan Karl.
Not quite yet, actually. Sorry about that. John, you're gonna have to wait a second. We have a lot to celebrate this evening, everyone. We want to give a special thanks to those who value the work that we do, the freedoms that we stand for, including Paramount, the Emerson Collective, and the Knight Foundation. All of them made donations to the WHCA after our April dinner was interrupted. And it is, by the way, our one fundraiser of the year. Their support will help our scholarship programs and our general operations in the next year. Thank you all very much. All right, now it is my pleasure to introduce two former White House correspondents who have served this association with distinction. They exemplify excellence in our field. They will help us recognize tonight's award winners. Jonathan Karl is the chief Chief Washington correspondent for ABC News. He is the co-anchor of This Week, and he is a former president of the WHCA. He's got over 3 decades of experience in Washington. He's covered 4 presidents, 14 press secretaries, and just about every major beat in the city. And through it, he has earned many of journalism's highest honors, including some of the very awards that we are presenting tonight. But first, to recognize our journalism awards, we have one of the country's defining voices with us tonight, Wolf Blitzer. Wolf is CNN's lead political anchor. He's the host of The Situation Room, and he's been a staple of CNN's political coverage since 1990, earning a reputation for steady, authoritative reporting on some of the most consequential moments in modern history, and earning multiple Emmy Awards himself for his distinguished career. Please welcome me in joining Wolf to the stage.
I'm standing up. Thank you very much for that really nice introduction. I'm so grateful. I'm so honored to be with all of you this evening. Each year, a panel of independent judges review dozens of entries for the 5 major WHCA Journalism Awards. And it's my honor tonight to announce this year's winners. And I'd like to point out that this is really a special night for me. I don't know if many of you were at the first White House Correspondents Association dinner in April, but it was, for me, it was very memorable indeed. And I can report this time, after the first course, I did not go to the men's room. I've been to this dinner over these many, many years. I spent 7 years as a White House correspondent. And I just want to remember with real excitement and passion who often came with me to these dinners over these many years. And that was the man who hired me at CNN, the man who created CNN, the late Ted Turner, who recently passed away. And he was not only a mentor and a good friend, but he loved journalism. when he hired me, he said, remember, Wolf, we're the cable news, capital N, capital E, capital W, capital S network. This is where the news comes first, and don't forget that. Forget about your own personal opinions. Just report the news fairly and accurately, and if you can, do it first. And that's what I've been trying to do over all of these years. So let's remember Ted Turner, what he did for not just for CNN, but for CNN and all of the news organizations over these many, many years. The Aldo Beckman Award for Overall Excellence in White House Coverage, named for the late Chicago Tribune correspondent and former association president Aldo Beckman, goes to, and let's give him a big round of applause, Josh Dawsey of the Wall Street Journal. The judges said Josh Dawsey shows us how power works inside the presidency. And over the past year, his reporting has revealed how decisions are made, who influences them, and how power is exercised at the highest levels. Josh Dawsey went far beyond the deluge of breaking news to offer invaluable insights that can only result from deeply sourced enterprise reporting. In the tradition of Aldo Beckman, he exemplifies integrity, persistence, and a steadfast commitment to holding power to account. Ladies and gentlemen, the WHCA is pleased to give the Aldo Beckman Award to Josh Dawsey. Let's continue with the awards. Thank you. The WHCA gives out 2 awards for reporting under deadline pressure, one for print and one for broadcast. This year's print winner is Amr Madhani and Zeke Miller of the Associated Press. When sources leaked that Trump administration officials were attempting to purge the National Security Council of staff deemed not sufficiently aligned with the president's agenda, Madhani and Miller quickly moved to verify the claim. They uncovered an unprecedented vetting process. NSC staffers were asked about their past political contributions, voting records, and social media posts as a gauge of loyalty to the president. Ultimately, more than 150 NSC aides were removed, resulting in the loss of considerable foreign policy expertise. The story that Madhani and Miller produced is as consequential as it is revelatory. Please welcome Zeke Miller accepting the award on behalf of the team. Now the Broadcast Award for Excellence Under Deadline Pressure. And this year's winner is my colleague and very good friend, Caitlin Collins of CNN. Reporting by CNN's Caitlin Collins on a historic showdown in the Oval Office between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky launched a memorable day of nonstop insight and analysis, including her exclusive interview with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Judges were awed by the depth of knowledge, access, and context that Caitlin brought to coverage of a meeting that unraveled before the world's eyes. The WHCA is pleased to honor the deadline reporting of CNN's Caitlin Collins. Let's give Caitlin another big round of applause. And now the award for excellence in presidential news coverage by visual journalists. This award recognizes a video or photojournalist for covering the presidency at the White House or in the field. And this year's award goes to Andrew Harnick of Getty Images. He captured the moment an Oval Office visitor collapsed during an event. And from the judges, they say this: through sharp timing, layered composition, and visual irony, this photograph expertly documents a true split-screen moment in real time. The president's orientation and posture inadvertently echo the statue to his right, while the other half of the frame is defined by movement. A truly striking image of contrast, skillfully captured in a chaotic moment. Please join me in congratulating Getty Images photographer Andrew Harnick, who also represents still photographers on the WHCA board. There are more. And now the Katharine Graham Award for Courage and Accountability, named for the legendary Washington Post publisher, and it comes with a prize of $10,000. This year's award goes to the Wall Street Journal. The Journal's courageous reporting on President Trump's past relationship with financier Jeffrey Epstein triggered the release of the so-called Epstein files, thousands of documents that might otherwise have remained hidden from the public. And despite the president's threat of a lawsuit, the Journal published a story about a provocative letter to Epstein bearing President Trump's signature. Trump quickly filed a $20 billion lawsuit against the Journal, revealing reporter Khadija Safdar's home address. Her family had to be relocated. The Journal was kicked off of Air Force One, but the reporters continue to file revelatory stories. Please welcome the winners of the Katharine Graham Award from the Wall Street Journal. Khadija Safdar, Sadie Gurman, Annie Linsky, Josh Dawsey again, Alex Leary, Rebecca Ballhaus, and Ryan Barber. Their colleague, Joe Palazzolo, could not attend tonight. The Collier Prize for State Government Accountability is presented by the University of Florida College of Journalism and Communications. And this is the award's 7th year at dinner, and it comes with a check for $25,000. It's a lot of money. This year's award goes to Care 11 in Minneapolis for its investigation, Housing Hustle. The investigation exposed a massive organized fraud scheme within Minnesota's Housing Stabilization Services Program, a Medicaid-funded safety net meant to help people with disabilities and those facing homelessness find and keep housing. Reporter A.J. Legault uncovered ethical and oversight breaches at the highest levels. The investigation drove sweeping state reforms and waves of federal probes and charges, said one Collier juror. Carol Levin's rigorous and piercing investigation of Medicare fraud had undeniable impact, including the suspension of more than 130 companies from the ability to bill Medicaid, the state terminating the HSS program, the firing of the state official in charge, federal raids, subpoenas, indictments, and convictions, and enhanced screening, oversight, and suspension powers for regulators. Here to accept the award from CARE 11, our reporter A.J. Legault and producer Gary Knox. The Center for Integrity in News Reporting Award honors the most fair, impartial, objective news reporting by a member of the WHCA that has the courage to not fear and the discipline to not favor. It's sponsored and administered by the Arkansas-based Center for Integrity in News Reporting and comes with a prize of $25,000. The award goes to Tyler Pager of the New York Times. The judges said that in his coverage of the first year of President Trump's second term, Pager demonstrates a disciplined, even-handed approach across a wide range of subjects, including supporters and donors, foreign policy, the Justice Department, and energy. The stories take readers inside consequential presidential decisions while presenting the facts. The work is deeply sourced and carefully verified, reflecting a clear dedication to getting it right without bias. Taken together, this body of work stands as a strong example of fair, impartial, and objective journalism, precisely the standard this award is intended to honor. Let's hear it one more time for this year's winners. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. But before we do that, let's give him another huge round of applause. And it's now my pleasure to introduce my good friend, longtime colleague, Jonathan Karl.
All right, final award of the evening. It is a high honor to present the award created to recognize the fierce and fair women who cover the White House every day. But first, I just want to give a big thank you to Weijia Zhang. Weijia, your leadership was steady when steadiness was in short supply. You refused to let an act of violence take this dinner away from us. And because of you, it has gone on. You insisted that happen. Thank you. Awesome, courageous. And Mr. President, I want to say it matters that you came here tonight. Thank you. For more than 100 years, presidents have chosen to sit in a room of reporters who ask tough and often uncomfortable questions and who report without fear or favor. It's important. Thank you for being here. And in that spirit, I am thrilled to present an award named after two women who didn't just cover history, they helped make it. In 1947, a woman joined the White House press corps and changed it forever. Her name was Alice Dunnigan. She was the first African-American woman ever credentialed at the White House. And just a few years later, she was joined by Ethel Payne. And together, they looked the most powerful man in the world in the eye and demanded answers about civil rights for Black Americans. President Eisenhower didn't always welcome those questions, but Alice and Ethel kept going and kept showing up, and they kept asking. The WHCA Dunnigan Payne Award for Lifetime Achievement exists to honor their legacy and to recognize journalists who followed in their footsteps by breaking barriers for future generations. So tonight, it is a privilege to present the award to two women who did exactly that. In a field long dominated by men, Melissa Young and Susan Walsh each built extraordinary careers as photojournalists, not by waiting for doors to be open, but by bursting through them again and again for decades. Melissa Young, this one I knew very well, she worked at ABC News for 44 years. She began in local television in Miami and worked her way to Capitol Hill and the White House, where she was one of the first female photojournalists in the press corps. Melissa documented the presidencies from Ronald Reagan to Donald Trump. She covered campaigns, secretaries of state, and defense. She reported in disaster zones, war zones, all around the world. I worked side by side with Melissa for about half of those years, and I traveled to more than a dozen countries with her. I'm not going to mention the time I was briefly detained because that was on Capitol Hill and she came to my rescue. That kind of person. True. She's tireless and professional and a lot of fun to be around. She did it all with persistence, resilience, and quiet determination, retiring just last year. Susan Walsh, her career was built on anything but luck. When a promised job fell through after a college internship, she called the AP's Boston bureau every single day for 3 weeks, just saying, "Give me a shot, will you?" Well, finally, they did just that. She came in, she said yes to every assignment. She worked her way up. She got to cover Super Bowls, Boston marathons, 5 Olympic Games. She transferred to Washington in 1997. And from there, she went on to photograph every US president from Jimmy Carter to President Trump, traveling the world as part of the White House press corps. In 1999, she was part of the AP team that was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for feature photography for her coverage of President Clinton's impeachment. She also served as the White House News Photographers Association, fighting for press access at every turn. Susan also retired just last year and traded the briefing room in for the ice rink, where she now plays hockey with her son. She's pretty good. Alice Dunnigan and Ethel Payne showed us what it looks like to refuse to be pushed aside so that they could keep bearing witness to what matters most. Melissa Young and Susan Walsh spent their careers doing exactly that. Two women, 80 years of combined service, and a legacy that honors everything this award stands for.
My job gave me purpose. I had a lot of fun. I saw myself as part of the world, that I was doing something that the world needed. I was always really excited to be in the room, see it, be a part of it. It kind of gave me the access and the confidence to go up to people and look into other people's worlds. The camera definitely made me fearless, especially when I was doing news and traveling internationally. You had to be aggressive. And that's when I had to be someone who I wasn't really sure I recognized all the time. 8 inaugurations, 5 Olympics, 6 Super Bowls, World Series, lots of sporting events, APEC summits, NATO summits. You traveled in a way you would never do as a regular person. I remember being in the palace with Fidel Castro and Jesse Jackson. And I was just walking around and, just like sort of going, well, here I am.
One of the craziest, wildest ones that I'll always remember is when I was with President Trump at the DMZ. I swear there were times that I don't think my feet hit the ground as we were being moved, and it was such a chaotic, crazy thing.
9/11 happened, and that just completely changed my life. That's when different kind of travel started for me. When they asked me to go with President Bush to Iraq, there I was, and an Iraqi journalist stood up in front of me, literally in front of me, and threw a shoe. Secret Service jumped on him. I was right behind him. I remember trying to hold on to my tripod so I can keep shooting. And then when it was finally over, they rushed us into a room to do an interview with the president. I think I started to see that what I did was really important.
I was traveling overseas with Jill Biden, and we slowly went into Ukraine, get the picture of First Lady Biden meeting Mrs. Zelensky. And for all of I love you guys, my writer friends, but for all you writer friends who didn't want to give me a spot in the van, my picture ended up on the front page everywhere, and your stories got bumped inside. Sorry.
And I hope there are more women that will follow through on this, especially in television, because it really is a great job.
It was always such a compliment to be considered one of the boys or the guys. And now that I'm older and there's many more women doing this job, I'm like, you know what? We're going to claim our space. You guys can be one of the girls, because we got this.
Yeah,
we got this.
All right, please join me in welcoming Susan and Melissa to the stage.
Can I say this is pretty awesome? I spent most of my career down in there, so I thank all the photographers and the photojournalists who had to cover this event. So it's really pretty cool to be up here and just kind of be a guest tonight. But they were gracious enough to give me an opportunity to say some things, so I'd like to say some things. First, Ouija, Jackie, and the entire Correspondents board, I just want to thank you guys so much for selecting me this year, me and Melissa. I hope not to get emotional here. This award means like the world to me. Oh, I'm such a sucker. Sorry. I got this. This award means so much, not because it's named for two incredible trailblazing women, but because honestly, I felt that this association didn't always value what we did as photographers. And, there were many times that Melissa and I were the only two women in the White House travel pool. And I just have to say, things have changed and I love it. So there's a whole lot more women out there. So yeah. I do have a couple of shout outs. I have to thank the Associated Press for giving a chance to a young photographer oh so many years ago. I truly hope I made you proud. To my son, Johnny, oh gosh. I practiced this and I was okay. To my son, Johnny, who's here tonight, thank you for putting up with your mom's crazy work schedule. I love you. And yes. And to all my friends and colleagues that I've traveled the world with, your camaraderie, your support, and most importantly, your laughs have been absolutely the best. And in my retirement, I absolutely miss that the most. So thank you for all of that. And then finally,
To all the journalists out there who are working incredibly hard to report the truth, despite access issues, insults, and subpoenas, keep it up. Your work matters, and we need you now more than ever. Thank you so much for all you do.
ABC has been breaking barriers since its start. Innovation is in our DNA, and being part of this work has always been my goal. Although this sounds simple, to achieve this, I've always had to fight. I'd fight to go places where they didn't send women. I'd fight to disasters in war zones. I'd fight to be part of the White House travel pool, covering 7 presidents. I'd fight to do an Oval Office address. And on a personal level, I'd fight to have a family while keeping my 24/7 job. Thank you to the White House Correspondents Association for recognizing me, the first female broadcast camera person for this honor. I am so proud to receive this award for a lifetime of breaking barriers. I've been fighting for 44 years to be the best at capturing all the action at the White House since Ronald Reagan. My advice, keep up the good fight and tear down those walls. Thank you.
Congratulations again to all of our honorees tonight. I am confident that one day our scholarship winners could be the ones taking home awards. After all, not that long ago, we were you, young people passionate about journalism and determined to make it work. I've been thinking a lot about my own journey to this podium tonight. I grew up in rural West Virginia, in a town at the foothills of the Allegheny Mountains, a town called Buchanan, population 5,500. Those images of the devastating floods that you've been seeing are from my hometown. My heart, thoughts, and prayers are with everybody there. After my dad finished grad school at WVU, where he properly learned how to say, "Let's go Mountaineers," my parents decided to stay in the state to open a restaurant. It was such a treat when hunters came in and left deer meat as a tip. On Sundays after church, families packed into the dining room, all dressed up. My mom learned every customer's name, their favorite dishes. I worked the cash register, topped off glasses of sweet tea, and did my homework in the corner booth. A day like that seemed ordinary at the time. Looking back, to think that days like that could be considered ordinary is the most powerful reminder of how extraordinary America is. My dad came to the US as a student with just $67, or as Frankie might say, 6-7. My mom holding a small suitcase in one hand and a toddler, me, with the other. Yet they built a new life, a successful business, and a real future. Our Chinese restaurant was the first in my town. Of those 5,500 residents, the Chinese American population of Buchanan was 3, my mom, my dad, and me. Growing up there was not always easy. Most folks had never laid eyes on people who looked like my family, but far more often than not, the community was welcoming and generous. Turns out deer meat is great in a stir fry. In Mandarin, the word for America is Meiguo. It literally means beautiful country, and I love that. America the Beautiful was never only about her landscapes or landmarks. It has always been about the promise that no matter where you come from, you get a shot at chasing your dreams. My dreams began right there in that family restaurant. A small TV in the back was often turned to the news, my dad's go-to for learning more English. In the middle of dinner service, it was the CBS Evening News anchored by Dan Rather and Connie Chung. I was hooked. In middle school, I won a contest to be a student reporter for a national news show called Channel One. And when a local news crew came to cover it, they learned just how big my dreams really were.
I hope to be the next Connie Chung and better. That's kind of hard, but that's my goal. And so I'm going to work very hard at trying to be a broadcast journalist.
Years later, it's surreal to say that I've sat in Connie Chung's old chair to fill in on the evening news. And Connie and I have talked about how the White House beat and the White House Correspondents Association used to be a little bit of a boys' club. For decades, women could be members, but they were not invited to sit at this dinner until 1962, when a woman who would become Dean of the Press Corps insisted. Thank you, Mrs. Helen Thomas. So tonight it means everything to stand here as the first woman of color ever elected president of this association in its 112-year history. I'm here because of the tenacious women who came before me, Melissa, Susan, and support from my family who are with us tonight. My husband, Luther, not from West Virginia, but Arkansas, similar enough. My amazing daughter, Frankie, little brother Jack, who should be sleeping by now. I love you more than anything in the world. I love you the most. My parents came to a country with almost nothing to give their daughter everything. And now I have that because they could be with me in this moment. Mama, Baba, Shishia. And sitting with them, my middle school video production teacher, Mrs. Diane Williams, who spent countless hours on my submission for that contest that changed my life. Like public school teachers across the United States, Mrs. Williams looked at a 13-year-old kid and said, "You can be whatever you want when you grow up," and she meant it. My story is like that of so many in this room and in this country, only in America. Only in America could a little girl born in China and raised in Appalachian coal country make her way to the Oval Office to ask questions of the President of the United States. Because when this is your home, you inherit something remarkable: the protections in the First Amendment: free religion, free speech, free press, free assembly, free petition. This fundamental right belongs to everyone. And that's exactly who the founders were thinking about when they protected a free press. Everyone, all Americans. They were not thinking about reporters. A free press is not a favor to journalists because we're special. We are not special. But America is. No matter who you are, the freedom to criticize without fear of being destroyed, that's not a bug in our democracy. It's supposed to be the feature. In 1786, writing from Paris, Thomas Jefferson told his friend back in Virginia, "Our liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost." 5 years later, that thought was enshrined in the Constitution after Jefferson urged James Madison to include a Bill of Rights. Many founders couldn't stand the press. Some things never change. But they understood if our access is restricted, it's really the people's access to information that is limited. If the media faces government pressure or censorship, it's the people who end up knowing less. That was true then, and it's true now. But having press freedom comes with a tremendous responsibility. We can't demand accountability without practicing it. Criticism of the media can be unfair. It can also be legitimate. We get a lot right, but sometimes we get things wrong. We mistake proximity to power for understanding it. And at times we get trapped in our own bubbles. There is a difference though, an existential difference between criticizing the press and trying to undermine it. One is healthy and it makes all of us better. The other is exactly what the founders hoped to prevent. Around the world, press freedom is not guaranteed. In many countries, reporters who criticize the government are detained without trial, their stories erased. In the worst cases, they never make it home. Tonight, we think about all of them, and we think about the protections that set us apart as a nation. Just 20 days ago, America turned 250 years old. The First Amendment is a big part of how she made it this far, and it falls on all of us to make sure it carries her through to the next 250 and beyond. President Trump, I've covered you for a long time, and so have many reporters in this room. When we ask questions, you push back, you give us answers, and we push back. You have always been a deal guy. Well, that's the deal. And the First Amendment is a done deal. And that's what we toast tonight, the freedoms that brought us back together even after they were threatened. So let's raise a glass to what makes ours a beautiful country. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 45th and 47th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. Because there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Wow, that was very beautiful, but this has not been an easy evening, all these awards. Do I have a say in those awards, all those awards? But it's great to be back at a place that I know very well because I built it. And I'm very proud of it because I built it for $2.9 billion less than the Federal Reserve building, which is a lot smaller, by the way. Figure that one out. But I am delighted to be here at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Amazing people, a lot of people that I like. Some I don't like it all, but I respect most of them. I must say that you do a great job, amazing job, and it's an honor. As I said 3 months ago, the show must go on. We were backstage, and we both wanted to just have it go on, whether it was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, it didn't matter. But in the end, it made more sense to do it the way we're doing it. And we had a great news conference at the White House, in a very important room. And you did very well. I think we all did very well. It was a hell of an evening, I can tell you that. Won't soon be forgotten. And I think a lot was learned from that evening. A tremendous amount was learned about security and about other things, the dangers of what we all do. But just like my presidency, the second time is always better. It's always better. And the third time will be better yet. I'm only kidding. From the earliest moments after the attack on our dinner last April, I knew we had to reschedule this event as soon as possible. We had to do it very quickly, and we met very quickly, and we figured something out. But the attempted mass murder at the Washington Hilton, that's what it could have been, was an assault on our democracy itself. Very serious situation. Many of you were there with me, and some showed extreme bravery, like Pete Hegseth, Steve Miller, Tom Homan, Really? They were standing on tables, and most of you were under the tables, okay? But they did. They showed. I saw every one of them that was standing up in those tables. I didn't know if they were brave, if they were smart, if they were stupid as hell. But they were on those tables in some cases. And there were a lot of different feelings going on in the room at that moment. But after hearing the gunshots, many people yelled, "Get down, get down," which caused Nicki Minaj to start twerking. Do you believe it? Get down. She's the only one that really understood what that meant. It's quite an evening. But tonight we come back together to answer that heinous attack with unwavering resolve. And every one of us here this evening to show that in America, we do not yield to political violence. We can't do that. Can't do it. So in this country, we believe in freedom of speech. We settle our differences not with bullets, but with open and vigorous debate. And no deranged loser with a gun will ever change that. We can't let that ever happen. A lot of very dangerous people out there. We can't let it happen. I want to begin by expressing our gratitude to the incredible men and women who put their lives on the line every day to protect my family and myself, all presidents, and lots of others. That's the United States Secret Service. So I appreciate it very much. And Sean and the whole group, amazing job. Amazing job. In recent months, they've repeatedly responded to threats with speed and professionalism and extraordinary courage. And there is no better example of that than Officer Victor Gonzalez, who we just met. It was amazing. What he did was amazing. When the would-be assassin charged the checkpoint at speed, he was fast. When you looked at that, you had to look at it about 10 times before you really saw what was going on. He was quick. Nasty. The gun made him nasty, actually. But Officer Gonzalez engaged the attacker without hesitation and took a bullet to the chest after his ballistic vest, fortunately, was on, saved his life. And Victor did not even want to go to the hospital for a checkup. We insisted, really, we wanted him to do it. We insisted, but he didn't want to go. So to Officer Gonzalez, Secret Service, Metropolitan Police, law enforcement generally, and even all of the military surround us in the room tonight, we salute you and we thank you with all of our hearts. Thank you very much. Great job. Great job. Great job. These are great people. So this evening, we're picking up right where we left off. So let's have a little bit of fun. I said, what do we do here? Is this supposed to be fun? Am I supposed to be serious? Am I supposed to be a comedian? So I guess you said maybe a little bit of everything. I know one thing, I could never have done the speech that I had ready just a short while. Oh, that was going to be a doozy. I was so psyched. I was going to rip people. And I don't know, just something changed. It's really for the better, but I just wouldn't want to do that. But we'll do a little ripping if you don't mind. But it is true. I said, how do we handle this? It's going to be a different kind of an evening, and it is. And in many ways, it's a more beautiful evening, actually. Everyone's looking really good tonight, and I know it was not easy finding shoes to go along with your bulletproof vest, which many people didn't want to wear because they'd rather die than look 20 pounds heavier. You know that, right? We have that a lot. They put one on me. I said, are you sure I'm not wearing this? No, you look exactly 20. They say, sir, it's about 21 pounds. I said, not good. But I want to thank the outgoing president of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Association. Now, she won't admit it, and she should not admit it, but we sort of became friendly. You know, in times of stress, on occasion, you become friendly. I have a lot of respect for Ouija, and I tell you, we went through a little bit of a war together. It turned out pretty good. It turned out pretty good because of a lot of good people. They stopped the tragedy. So I want to thank you very much. Fantastic job. And Ouija worked extremely hard to ensure this dinner was rescheduled. And we want to just thank her family. I just met her parents, her children, her husband. What a perfect family. So it's really great. Thank you very much all for putting up with this, right? But let me also thank the incoming president of the Correspondents Association, Jackie Heinrich. She can be very tough as a reporter, I will tell you. She can be nasty. She looks so beautiful, but she can be so nasty. How could that happen? But she just got married to a very successful congressman, a very good congressman. I'd like to have a couple of more votes from it. That's okay. On occasion, he shows a little independence. We don't like that. But now he's a very professional guy, and he loves our country. But that's a big thing. I just see what takes place. We're talking about what takes place to be in the position that you're leaving and that Jackie's coming into. And it's a lot of work, a lot of friendships, a lot of talent. And so, Jackie, congratulations. And congratulations are also in order for our favorite White House press secretary, Caroline Levitt, who just had her second child. You and your husband. She's great. She's done a fantastic job. We all love her. She's done a fantastic job. She's another one. She can be nasty. But sometimes she has no choice, right? But Caroline may have one of the hardest jobs in the White House. She has to deal with all of you all of the time. And you can be very difficult. You can be very, very difficult people. But I'm probably being a little bit oversensitive. Sometimes I really do think that some of you don't like me. In fact, I read a report, I get 93% negative publicity. 93. So how the hell did I win the election by so much? Think of it, I don't think that's true. I can't believe it's 93. In the 80s maybe, but not 93. But this place is really the largest group of Trump derangement syndrome people ever put together at one time, I suspect. Some of you are lucky that our last dinner was cut short because I had brought with me what would possibly have been, I'm telling you, I had something. I was going to go after you. I feel so badly doing this. It's going to be such a letdown. Oh, yay. But your lives were really in danger the last time for an opposite reason. But on the plus side, your careers were saved, and we really do. We have a complete and total. You know, I love the words complete and total. They say, but it means almost the same thing. I said, it doesn't matter when you say it. It's called emphasis. It's called emphasis. But everyone is now really warming up. The new White House Military Center, drone port, highly protected ballroom. We have our ballroom. The windows are this thick. They said to the people, well, if a bullet hits, what happens? Nothing. Nothing. It bounces right off, sir. This is the greatest bulletproof glass. I said, AK-47. That's supposed to be a big one. I don't know so much about the guns. My sons know a lot. But I said, I know it's big. What would happen? They go up, meaning it can take more. I said, so if I'm making a speech and I hear that pinging sound at a window, what would I do? Sir, leave the room right away, but you're going to be safe. We're building something that's going to be amazing. And in light of what we went through, I think people understand it. It's going to be amazing. A phenomenal, one of the biggest drone ports anywhere in the world, right on the roof, right protecting the White House, not only the ballroom. And what's underneath, you know, is supposed to be a top military secret, what's underneath, but then you get sued as usual, and you have to reveal that you're building this unbelievable situation downstairs with room after room of very complex stuff. It was the military's dream to have it built. I wanted to have a ballroom because for 150 years they wanted it. And then the generals came to see me and they said, sir, you're building something. This gives us an opportunity to do something that will be so unbelievable, never happen again. Because there's very little built under the White House, very hard to build under a very fragile building like that. It's very fragile. It's old, and a little different construction standards, frankly. And this is an opportunity for us to build something very powerful. I said, let's keep it secret. They said, no, no, we're telling you, sir, let's keep it secret. And then we get sued and we revealed every room, we told the people that did the suing, they're not good people. We told them, we said, you know, you're being very unpatriotic when you bring a suit like this, but it is what it is, but it's going to be, it's really going, it's moving fast. We're ahead of schedule. We're right on budget. And it's going to be something like, I think, no country has. I just visited China. They have this magnificent room, the Great Room. They call it the Great Room. It's a great room, but what we have is going to blow. There won't be anything like it. It's going to be fantastic. And with all of the things that are going along with it for safety and security of future presidents, you know, I'm only going to be using it for about 6 months, assuming we finish it right on time. I get to use it. Somebody said, he's building it for himself. I'm building it for the future. I'm not building, I use it. Now, had I not gone down 6 or 7 stories, then in that case, I would have been able to get a couple of years out of it. But that was far more complex what we did downstairs than what we do upstairs. So we're very proud of it. That's going to be amazing. And I think I was just telling the whole group sitting at the table, we were talking about it. I said, I think, you know, it's White House Correspondents. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to use that. It's going to be very large and very beautiful and very safe. And that's what you need. So I was thrilled to see that after witnessing the attack, even Democrat Senator John Fetterman told his fellow Democrats to drop the Trump derangement syndrome and build the White House ballroom. But it's much more than that. It's something that you're going to use. I predict that you're going to end up using it, and a lot of people are going to end up using it. They're going to be as safe as you can possibly be. But despite everything that happened at the previous dinner and all of the dangers involved, I'm told that this is still the hottest ticket in town. This ticket to get in tonight, because it's a smaller room, it's a beautiful room, it's a luxury room. See those beautiful chandeliers? I can tell you everything about them if you'd like to know. See that beautiful Capitol above? See the beautiful Capitol? See the everything, the brass. Those chandeliers are great. I'm looking at them, saying, I wonder if I could, you know, I sold this building. And they're doing a nice job, but they're nice people. But I'll tell you, I'm looking at them saying, I wonder if I could walk out with those chandeliers, because you can't buy them. They're very special. I won't tell you the fact. I won't mention that they're Czech crystal, because I'd like to say everything's made here, but they are Czech crystal. And they are beautiful. And the Waldorf people are doing a really nice job. We're proud of them, actually, because, you know, when I left town, I was a little angry. I was a little bit angry. I was offered a nice price. I said, I'm getting out of that place. And then I said, let's make a comeback. And, but I was very proud of this building. This building was hot. Remember the lobby floor? 82,000 feet. For those in the real estate business, 82,000 feet. That's a major floor. That thing was packed every single night. It was packed, mostly Republicans, I would say, but it was packed every single night. It almost brings back memories. But I left town, and I have just had nothing but good experience. And this might be the best experience of all, having all of these incredible people in this room. It's a great feeling, frankly. It's a great feeling. But tonight's event, thank you. But tonight's event is even crazier than the last time. In fact, it's so successful that I've been informed by CBS News' David Ellison, who's going to do a fantastic job. He's the owner. He's the owner. He bought it, spent a lot of money, and he's going to make, I think, fantastic changes and keep some of the great stuff going. But that next year they're going to call it the Trump White House Correspondents Center. He told me that, and I like that very much. We're going to change the name of it, okay? Oh, it's going to be so hot, just like our country is hot. We are hot, by the way. But to be honest, it's just about the only way that they're going to ever get me back here. You're going to have to change the name of the dinner. But how's that one going? Not too good. I hope that everyone finally got to enjoy their entire very delicious beef tenderloins, very special beef. And I want you all to know that Bobby Kennedy, who's right here, personally ran over the cow in his car. And he cut it up and he brought it here for you to eat tonight. So it's very fresh. And Bobby also suggested an appetizer featuring his favorite cut of male raccoon roadkill. But we drew the line at that, Cheryl. We said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that. We love Bobby. I'll tell you, he's a piece of work. You think it is fun, but he is a very different kind of a person, I will tell you. But he has what it takes, and he's smart, and he loves the country, and he wants people to be made to feel good. You agree with that, Bobby? He wants people to feel good. And he's doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. We can joke all we want, but thank you. A lot's happened since the last time we were all together. Last month, we hosted one of the most incredible sporting events in world history at the White House, the UFC Freedom 250 fight. The UFC fight. When I announced that we're going to build a boxing ring right outside of the front door of the White House, that took a lot of heat. But it turned out that was, they say, about the most viewed fight in history. It was beautiful. So many things happened. It was supposed to rain. We're going to do it the week before, and the weather was beautiful. And the weather came and it went, and now we came up to Wednesdays. They said, sir, this was on a Sunday night, replacing 60 Minutes, which is nice and unusual because usually it's Saturday night. And they said, sir, this was from Wednesday on. Tell me about weather, right? Sure, it's going to rain. I think you're going to have to. It's going to be one of the worst storms that we've seen in a long time. It's coming up the coast. It's going to hit you on Sunday night. It's going to be a disaster. I'm saying, can you believe? And you saw the ring we built, Dana White, the great Dana White, and everything. We had the best fighters in the world. Turned out we had the best fights that most people have ever seen, including me. It was just a miracle. But what happened is we're waiting for this rain to come all day long, and it's coming, and it's horrible. And it's 8 o'clock, and we say, I think it hasn't rained yet. I said, maybe we should postpone it an hour. Maybe we should make it the next day. We didn't know what to do. And finally, we just said, let's just have it. And it never rained. It was perfect. In fact, the week before, it was 92 degrees. It was nice, but this was like 72 degrees. And the rain was coming, and it came right over the White House. And it was like, thank you very much. It went like this. And other areas were drenched a few miles away. We didn't have a drop of rain. And it was absolutely one of the most incredible things anybody's ever seen. People said it's one of the most incredible nights of their lives. So just remember, before I came along, if you wanted to see someone lose consciousness on the south lawn of the White House, all you had to do is ask Joe Biden a question. Remember that. Oh, you think I'm kidding? But the big fight was such an amazing success that tonight I'm pleased to announce that we're going to host an even bigger one right in front of the White House. Every Friday night, every Saturday night, we're going to have fights in front of the White House. But we do have something coming and I'm only kidding. You know, the one thing about the press that I learned, don't be sarcastic. Because I'm a very sarcastic person, and I get sarcastic, and most people know that, but you have some bad people that will write it exactly like I say it. And I said I was only kidding. But we are going to have Indy 500. Roger Penske's coming in mid-August, and they're going to have it all throughout Washington, the greatest cars, the greatest drivers in the world. And that's going to be something. Already they have over 350,000 people signed up, going down Pennsylvania Avenue, around the Capitol. And Roger, who's incredible, he won the Indianapolis 500 20 times. Think of it. Germany, Japan, all these countries, they spend billions and billions of dollars trying to win the Indy 500. And Roger wins it. He literally won it 20 times. On the 18th time, I said, you know, that's amazing. I'm going to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And I had him up. And then he won it 2 times after that. The guy's amazing. And he lost the last one by about 6 inches, if anybody watched it. So they're coming here, and it's going to be something really exciting. We have unbelievable events. Look, it's an unbelievable country. And on July 4th, we were over at the mall, and It was raining. It was supposed to be really bad again. And we had 450,000 people show up, and that's a light number. And I was told, sir, we're going to have to cancel the event. This was not good. And it was drizzling a little bit, not raining very hard. And people are calling me, friends of mine were calling me. And I got a call from Brett Baer. Brett Baer said, it's not raining. I said, where are you? I'm standing at the mall and I'm waiting to go in the White House. Then others called up. They said the same thing. And I said, you know, this is terrible. But there was lightning, not big lightning, but you don't have to have big lightning. It takes just a little bit to do some big damage. So they said, everybody must leave. 450,000 people were forced to leave and they left. And then I said to myself, I said, let me call up and find out what the hell's going on. And I called up and I spoke to a brilliant young man. He said, don't worry about it, sir. We can do it in a couple of weeks. I said, you can't do it in a couple of weeks. This is the 250th birthday. In 2 weeks, what are we going to do? Say, let's go? We're going to have a redo? No. I said, I'll speak if I have to speak at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I don't care. Call them all back. They're all gone. 450,000. And most of them were in cars. They were heading back to Texas. And it was sad. And we said the show must go on. Very much like here, we said the same term, right? The show, it's a great term. It's true in life. The show has to go on. The show must go on. And I said, the show must go on. I put it out on Truth. The show must go on. And we had probably, Peter, 150,000 people come back up higher. Maybe, thank you. Let's stand up, Peter. Tell them. More, right? It might have been more, but it was amazing. It was just an amazing crowd. And actually worked out better, a little like this. It worked out better than if we had done it at the normal 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock time. It was incredible. We started speaking at 11 o'clock in the evening, but tremendous numbers of people. Thousands and thousands came roaring back, and it was a great evening. And it was a celebration. And we didn't do it the following day, and we didn't do it 2 weeks later. We did it when we were supposed to do it. It was a fantastic celebration. But I can exclusively reveal to you this evening that for the heaviest of the heavyweights, we will have sloppy Chris Christie, one of the sloppiest human beings you'll ever meet, fighting, I would say, I could mention the governor of Chicago, but I'm going to mention instead Jerry Nadler. And they're fighting for a big piece of cheesecake, big fat piece of cheesecake. Who the hell wrote that line? But it is true. And then you have a Congresswoman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC plus 3. That's her 3 friends, right? AOC plus 3. And I watched her give that answer when she was over in Europe. It was not a good answer. If I ever gave that answer, I would be out of politics. Remember, you cannot have a 19-second wait time to answer really a very quite simple question. But we'll then have a rematch against an extreme simple question on a foreign policy from Munich Security Conference. It was a big security conference, and this was our first time up in terms of that. And we had a sort of little preview, and then Anderson Cooper is going to fight Lawrence O'Donnell. I'm not a fan of Lawrence O'Donnell. I like Anderson, actually, because he's covered me well for many years. Then he went bad as soon as I went for politics. But for years, he loved interviewing. I did so many interviews with him, and he was great. But, you know, he's got a little different persuasion than me in many ways, actually. And Lawrence O'Donnell, never liked him, never thought he had any talent. But he's still making a living, so I can't knock it. But we had a contest for who had the lowest ratings and the lowest IQ on television. And that was actually Don Lemon, I think. You know, when I said that he's the dumbest man on television, I said, you know, when you say some things, you never make a comeback. It's not like, oh, gee, hey, Don, let's have dinner some night. But I know what I'm saying. And then you have Bette Midler and Jane Fonda actually held a concert to protest the first UFC fight. They didn't want to see the fight. Very few people want. They held an event. Like 3 people showed up. And given the choice between seeing some of the really beat up faces of the UFC, almost everyone chose the people in the UFC. It was between the 2 of them of the UFC. And what about Bruce Springsteen? What the hell happened to that guy? He looks like hell. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not supposed to say. I'm sure he doesn't like the way I look, but I don't look so bad. But at a recent concert, Bruce, all he did was talk politics. He ought to run for office. That'd be interesting. But all he talked about, he made 4 political speeches in his 3-hour show. The tour has been renamed Bored in the USA. And his new song was so bad that Chris Christie, who's like a fan, you know, he goes out and tells everybody how he hates Chris Christie.